Oh, finally got live. All right. Uh-oh, connection is unstable. Please wait while we try. Okay. All right, there. Should be stable now. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear me today. It's Mr. G back on this very chilly April 9th day, Thursday. Oh, it's chilly today. Oh, guys, sorry that I couldn't go live sooner. Had some stuff happen here in my neck of the woods that I had to take care of and spent most of the day having to take care of. But now I'm here. So hopefully you guys weren't waiting around too long for me to go live. Wish I could have, messaged you guys sooner that I was going to be late today, but it was an emergency. And fortunately, those things happen. And unfortunately, when you're in a lockdown situation, makes it a little worse because you're kind of on your own to try to figure it out. So Mr. G is here now. We'll pick up where we left off in Spy Ski School. Been looking forward to reading the next couple chapters here in the story. As things seem to be starting to pick up, starting to get good. I believe we left off with Ben fixing his friendship, if you want to call it that, with Jessica. Was able to get back into her good graces. However, they've hit a snag as now basically Jessica has now been grounded by her father, Leo, from going to ski school. So she will not be continuing ski school. And the reason that she's grounded is because she brought Ben up to their suite where they were staying at the Arabelle Hotel there up on the 5th floor. And it didn't end so well. Ben was basically dragged out of the suite by the Shang security men. And Erica basically told him, what happened, translated it, because a lot of the yelling and the argument between Jessica and her father was done in Chinese, and Ben doesn't know Chinese. But basically, she's grounded, and Ben is not allowed to see her. And we ended with Ben heading back to Ski House, where he's staying at with the gang. And he looked back and saw Liu Shang standing on the balcony from their suite, glaring at him all the way 5 floors up. And it made Ben feel very uneasy and not feel very comfortable. So we kind of left with that, with him fearing that Liu Shang might still do something to him. But I kind of think it's more like, it's an overprotective dad with his daughter, and he's mad at the boy that he walks in catching his daughter hugging on. So I think there's a little bit of that at play. I think at least that's Mr. G's observation. Maybe you guys have made other observations and predictions about why Leo reacted the way that he reacted. We also kind of ended with Erica kind of cutting Ben off very quick on the radio after he shared why Leo got as mad as he did, what happened in the room. And he basically said, well, Jessica hugged me. And then Erica kind of cut him off very abruptly, which was different than the usual abruptiveness that Erica is usually known to do to Ben. And Ben made that observation himself that was odd. You can almost say that maybe Erica is a little bit jealous, which would be kind of out of the realm of the norm for her, considering that she is the Ice Queen and has not so much as given Ben kind of that attention or that impression herself. So we'll see what we find out here in the next couple chapters. We'll pick up with chapter 15, start off with that one, titled Eavesdropping. That night, my hotel room became mission control. Everyone crowded into it, grabbed what space that they could, and hunched over their computers. There was no time to go out for food. We ordered pizza, and everyone scarfed it down while they worked. Hank, Jawa, Zoe, and Warren, who were all learning Chinese, were put on bug duty. Oh, yeah, Ben planted those 4 listening devices or bugs in the Shang suite, so they're hoping to hear what is Operation Golden Fist. They sat on the beds, each eavesdropping on a different one of the bugs I placed, transcribing everything they heard to English on their laptops, alerting us if anything of interest came up. Erica had commandeered the tiny bureau where she was using her computer to try to figure out find out who Molly Denham was. Oh, yeah, that was the name of the person that Jessica said that her dad was seeing that was here in Vail, Colorado. Alexander was pacing about on the phone with various people at the CIA, updating them on our progress and discussing how to proceed. And Cyrus was debriefing me by the bathroom, going over everything that had happened in the Shang suite. Only Chip wasn't there. He had been dispatched to the Arabella to keep a watch over it, just in case Liu Shang made a move. Chip had been selected for this assignment because he was the only member of the team who didn't recognize it was as glamorous as it had sounded. He had been thrilled to get out of eavesdropping duty, only to discover that keeping tabs on the enemy at night in a ski town in winter was extremely dull and exceptionally cold. I want you to really think about everything that you saw in Liu Shang's room, Cyrus told me, taking a bite of pepperoni, meatball, ham, and sausage pizza. Then tell me all about it. I sighed. Cyrus had already been grilling me for an hour, and he kept coming back to the master suite. Like I said, I barely got a glimpse of it. I've told you everything that I saw. No, Cyrus corrected. You've only told me everything that you remember seeing, which isn't very much. After all that memory training we gave you, that's the best you could do? I did my best. Well, do better. Remember more. I started to protest that this was ridiculous. How could I possibly force myself to remember something that I obviously couldn't remember? But I was sure that would only annoy Cyrus, and he seemed annoyed enough with me as it was. He had already described the results of my foray into the Shang suite as borderline pathetic. So I tried to recall the tiny bit of the room I had seen, but I could still think of only one thing: the silver case. I began. You already mentioned that, Cyrus interrupted. Because it's important, isn't it? It looked a lot like the cases Spider used to move nuclear missiles around in, only a bit smaller. So your theory is what? That Liu Shang has a small nuclear missile in his bedroom? Maybe, I replied. Alexander walked past on the phone. We have credible intelligence that Shang has been doing some sort of aerial reconnaissance, he was saying. Don't know what he was reconnaissing, but we believe his activities are suspicious. He listened a bit, then cupped a hand over the phone and looked to his father. They say we need more evidence than that to authorize further action. I'm working on that, Cyrus muttered, then yelled to the eavesdroppers. Bug team, what's going on? He pointed to each of them in sequence. Guards in the living room are currently discussing their fantasy football teams, Zoe replied. Liu Shang is making calls to China in his room, Jawa said, but as of right now, they've all been legitimate business dealings. Dame Bramage has seriously bad gas, Hank said. When everyone groaned, he added, Hey, it's not my fault Ben put the bug so close to the hall bathroom. Jessica Shang is on the phone with her mother in her room complaining about her father, Warren said. She's still very upset. She just called him an onion waffle. Warren reconsidered that for a moment. Sorry, she called him a bully. I misheard. You see, Chinese is very complex language, and the slightest difference in inflection can lead to very different. Erica, Cyrus called out before Warren could prattle on any longer. Any luck? None, Erica sighed. Given that Molly can be a nickname for either Mary or Margaret, in addition to just being plain old Molly, there is a very large number of potential Molly Denhams in the world. However, there's only one person with any of those names in the CIA criminal database, and it's unlikely she saw Shang this week. Why not? Alexander asked. Because she's dead, Erica replied. And she has been for 40 years. So she probably doesn't do much helicopter skiing. Unless she's a zombie, Warren suggested. Maybe Shang's evil plan is to bring the dead back to life. Hank smacked him on the back of the head. The only thing that's dead around here is your brain. Anyhow, Erica went on, I'm trying to narrow down the potential suspects by looking at those Molly Denhams who live in Colorado or those who might be in Colorado at the moment. But it's going to take a while. I found two possibilities so far, but both of them had washed out. One's pretty much the squeakiest clean person I've ever come across, teaches kindergarten, runs a brownie troop, and makes sandwiches for the poor, and she hasn't left Denver all week. The other one is only 4 years old. Well, keep at it, Cyrus said. Then he returned his attention to me. If you'd like to remember anything else about that silver case, now would be a good time. The clock's ticking, and as of right now, that's our only lead. What about the information Erica got about the helicopter? I asked. That was proof Leo Shang wasn't actually skiing. But it's not proof that he wasn't doing anything illegal either, Cyrus retorted. How about the helicopter pilot? Jawa suggested. He must know something about Shang, what Shang was doing up there. Why hasn't anyone talked to him yet? Because he's gone missing, Cyrus replied. Everyone paused in what they were doing and stared at him, except Erica, who already seemed to be aware of this information. Like dead? Warren asked, paling. I don't know, Cyrus admitted. The guy didn't show up to work today, and no one's heard from him since he flew Shang around yesterday. So yeah, dead's a possibility, but it's not confirmed. Well, isn't that evidence Shang's up to no good? So he asked. No, Cyrus corrected. In fact, a missing person is the opposite of evidence that Shang is up to no good, because said evidence is missing, which brings us back to our mysterious silver case. He returned his attention to me again, his eyes boring into mine. You honestly can't remember anything else about it? No, I said, feeling like this was a major failure. Also, I was pretty freaked out by the fact that the helicopter pilot had vanished. If Shang had gotten rid of someone who had simply just flown him around, what would he do to someone who he was really angry at, like me? Did it have any telltale markings on it? Cyrus pressed. Nuclear symbols, a skull and crossbones, anything that would indicate it wasn't just a big old piece of everyday luggage? It wasn't everyday luggage, I told him. It was built to hold something besides clothing. Can you prove that? No, I said. It's just a hunch. Then, for all we know, this case is just a busted goose. What's that? I asked. Cyrus frowned like he was annoyed I didn't know his piece of CIA lingo. A busted goose is a distraction. In the wild, when a mother goose wants to protect her ducklings from a predator, she pretends to have a broken wing to lure them away. Sometimes our enemies do the same thing. They put something out in the open to pull all of our attention away from what we should be really focused on. For example, the CIA once had an agent stationed in Damascus on a lookout for a big-time arms dealer. Well, this agent spots a suspicious-looking fellow with glasses and a shifty demeanor and a metal case handcuffed to his wrist. And he tails him. Turns out the guy's a busted goose. The idiot agent gets distracted by him, and the arms dealer ends up moving an entire tank right through the city without being noticed. Alexander sat down his phone, looking hurt. Dad, for the last time, I really thought I had the right guy. It was an honest mistake. Anyone could have made it. I am not. Why am I not surprised that that was Alexander that was the idiot? Not anyone competent, Cyrus muttered. The guy you followed was the most obvious decoy I ever heard of. No, he wasn't, Alexander argued. I've fallen for way more obvious decoys than that. He suddenly realized what he said. Wait, that didn't come out right at all. While he and Cyrus bickered, I sagged into my chair, wondering if the silver case was important or not. It had certainly seemed suspicious, but then I had no proof that it wasn't merely designed to look suspicious. Can we just send someone to infiltrate the suite to see what's in the case? Such a move would be exceptionally dangerous, Cyrus told me. I'd be willing to authorize it if we had credible evidence that the case is the real deal. But without that, it's too big of a risk, and I can't put this mission on the line for a busted goose. I nodded, understanding, and returning to racking my brain, trying to come up with the evidence that Cyrus needed. Unfortunately, I kept drawing a blank, and being penned up in a tiny room with so many other people wasn't helping. It felt as though everyone else was waiting for me to come up with something, increasing my feelings of failure and frustration. Warren was so fixated on me that he wasn't even watching what he was doing and dropped a piece of pizza on the bed. Warren! Jawa snapped. You got tomato sauce all over my pillow. It's no big deal, Warren told him. Just call housekeeping for a new one. Housekeeping, Jawa shot back. At this place? They all went home hours ago. That's now your pillow. Fine, Warren said petulantly. I like the smell of pepperoni. I suddenly remembered. Cyrus was right. I hadn't remembered everything. Housekeeping, I exclaimed. What about it? The bed wasn't made in Leo Shang's room, I explained. There were dirty clothes on it, but Leo had been gone all day. Now, if we were renting out an entire hotel for yourself, don't you think the housekeeping staff would clean your room? I mean, this place is a dump, and they still make our beds every day. Erica looked up from her computer, intrigued. Ben's right. The Shangs have the hotel's entire cleaning staff at their disposal. The only reason the room would be a mess is if Leo didn't want them in his room. And that man is fastidious. He's the only person in the entire town who wears button-down shirts. So it follows that he's hiding something in there. We've been thinking all along that he rented the entire hotel for his. It isn't just about privacy. Suppose Leo Shang is hiding something else inside the hotel. If he's renting the whole place out, he controls the staff, the entire staff, the restaurants, and all the common areas. No one goes anywhere without his permission. Except his daughter, Zoe pointed out. I swung back towards Cyrus, who didn't look nearly as frustrated with me as he had before. Now he looked pensive. I realize this is only circumstantial evidence, I said, but it's still evidence, right? I think Ben's got something, Erica said. It seems pretty obvious that Shang's trying to hide something secret in his room. Cyrus didn't say anything. Instead, he grabbed his phone and called Chip. He had the volume up loud enough so I could hear when Chip answered. Hello? That's the only one that matters. They need a vehicle to move this thing. Oh, hey, it's really cold out here, and I'm freezing. I could hear Chip's teeth chattering over the phone. Any chance I could go back there and warm up? No, Cyrus said and hung up. Then he grabbed his jacket, heading for the door. Alexander looked at him expectantly. Where are you going? To break into Leo Shang's room. I'm going to find out what's in that case. While Shang and all of his men are there? Warren asked. There's no time to waste, Cyrus replied. It isn't going to be easy, but I've handled plenty worse in my time. Can I come? Alexander asked excitedly, like he was 10 and his father was off to see a baseball game. Forget it, Cyrus told him. This is a delicate operation. I can't have you screwing it up. Alexander slunk off to pout. So I said what I was worried about. Yesterday afternoon, when I was out on the mountain after my lessons, I got the idea that someone was spying on me. I never got a good look at him, but it could have been one of Shang's men. It wasn't, Cyrus said definitively. Why do you think so? Because it was me. I took a step back, surprised. You? I thought you were tailing Leo Shang yesterday. Leo Shang was in a helicopter all day, and as you may recall, we don't have a helicopter ourselves. So that left us waiting to be hel- by the helipad for him to return. As the task wasn't particularly challenging, I left my son in charge of it. And I felt there was another threat that needed an assessment. It took me a moment to realize who he meant. Mike? I asked. Yes. You think my best friend is a threat to the CIA? Oh, I don't think he is a threat. I know he's a threat, and he's been one for some time. To begin with, last winter, he infiltrated our campus as part of a spider plot. He was duped into that, and yet he still did it, despite numerous signs around the campus perimeter indicating that trespassing on the property is against the law. His actions then mandated a major disinformation campaign to dissuade him of the truth about our facility. Given your conversation with him on the slopes yesterday, however, I think we can assume that campaign was a failure. You heard that? I asked, concerned. Cyrus tapped the hearing aid in his ear. I don't wear this because I'm deaf. I wear it because it's actually a unidirectional long range listening device. Everyone in the room had stopped eavesdropping on the Shangs and was now eavesdropping on us. What's this all about? Zoe asked. Is Mike on to us? He has some suspicions, I told her, but I think I've put them to rest. You've done no such thing, Cyrus informed me. If anything, you're directly responsible for his suspicions. After all, you repeatedly failed to hide your spy skills and maintain a proper non espionage persona in front of him. I've done my best, I argued, and your best leaves a great deal to be desired, as I am sure you are aware Academy policy is that friendships with civilians are discouraged. And your egregious handling of this one is a prime example of why that policy exists. And then, as if Mr. Berzaninski wasn't already enough of a threat, you allowed him to come here and jeopardize an active mission. I didn't have anything to do with him coming here. It was a coincidence. Poppycock, Cyrus exclaimed. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Every action is a result of another action. And in this case, your actions, such as your ill thought out discussion at the zoo with him the other day that led to this debacle. Wait, how do you know I went to the zoo with Mike the other day? I'm a spy. It's my job to know things. Were you spying on me then? I don't have to detail my personal schedule to a second year student, Cyrus huffed. Your friend is a significant threat to the CIA and the Academy. We do not take threats lightly at the CIA. Instead, we assess them and determine the appropriate action to take. And what kind of action are you talking about here? I asked warily. That's classified. You can't do anything bad to him, I exclaimed. He's only a kid. Cyrus glared at me, fire in his eyes. I am fully aware of how old he is. I am not an idiot, and frankly, there are plenty of other things I would much rather be spending my time on than this fiasco. But I'm stuck with it because I've taken responsibility for you, and you have repaid me by bullocksing this up. You may have performed adequately on missions you have served on so far, Ben, but where your life outside the Academy is concerned, you have been cavalier, foolhardy, and feckless. I've been forced to work overtime to ensure this doesn't all blow up in our faces, which I do not appreciate one bit. So now, if you'll excuse me, I have some actual spy work to do for once, and I'd like to take care of it. He yanked on his jacket and stormed out of the room. Everyone averted their eyes from me, pretending like they had been too busy eavesdropping on the Shangs to witness my dressing down. Everyone, that is, but Warren. He sang gleefully under his breath, "Ooh, looks like Golden Boy's in trouble." Shut up, Warren, Zoe said. Ben's 10 times the spy you are. Not according to Cyrus, I said, slumping into a chair. He said I've performed adequately. That's it. That's it, Alexander echoed. That's the nicest thing I've ever heard my father say about anyone who wasn't Erica. My whole life, he never told me I performed adequately at anything. Even when I did. I know I've had my share of mishaps, but there have been plenty of things I was perfectly adequate at. And did I hear even one bit of praise? No. And that was about a math test in the 4th grade. I turned to Erica. She seemed unusually on edge, as though she was concerned about Mike herself. Do you know what he's planning for Mike? I asked. I don't have any idea what my grandfather's thinking, she told me coldly. As you can see, I am not particularly crucial part of his plan. Yeah, you're just a cog in the machine, Jawa said curtly. Like the rest of us for once. Cram it, Erica muttered. It's not so fun when someone treats you the way you treat the rest of us, is it? Jawa pressed. Lay off of her, will you? Zoe asked. We're supposed to be working as a team here. A team? Hank laughed. We're not a team. We're a bunch of lackeys doing busy work for Cyrus Hale while he goes and gets all the glory. My father isn't going to steal all the glory, Alexander said defensively. All right, that's your move, Hank told him. And with that, everyone started bickering back and forth at once. Their frustrations bubbling to the surface, frustrations with their place on the mission and with how they'd been treated over the years, with everyone else in general. I walked outside. It was rude, but I needed to get out of there. That room was too hot, too stuffy, too full of people with grudges and issues and competing agendas. Plus, I smelled like a wet ski sock. I needed a breath of fresh air. I stepped into the parking lot and took a deep breath, then exhaled a cloud of frozen vapor and watched it float away. When I had first been told about Operation Snow Buddy, it sounded like great fun, an adventure with my friends in an exotic location. But nothing had gone the way that I had hoped. Our accommodations were crummy, our team was constantly squabbling, Cyrus was never pleased, and my best friend was now considered a threat to the CIA. There was only one day left until Operation Golden Fist. We still hadn't achieved our objective. Figuring out what Operation Golden Fist actually was, all I had done was to earn the wrath of Liu Shang. I looked toward the pedestrian bridge over the highway, expecting to see Cyrus making his way across it toward the Arabella. But Cyrus had already vanished from sight, although I was annoyed at him for the way that he had treated me, and everyone else for that matter. I had hoped Cyrus was successful in infiltrating the Shang suite and finding out what was in that mysterious case. I actually found myself wishing it would be something incredibly dangerous, like a nuclear bomb or a few hundred vials of some infectious disease. Because then it would be concrete proof that Liu Shang was up to something evil and he could be immediately arrested. Then the case would be closed, I'd be safe again, and the whole mission would be wrapped up so we could all go home and get back to our normal lives. Well, our abnormal lives at least. Only Cyrus breaking and entering didn't work out as anyone had hoped. All right. Things are looking a little bleak for our friends. Cyrus has given Ben basically a reprimand, a very stern talking to. It's the military called a dressing down because Ben has not been handling things very well in Cyrus's view. Dressing down for how he has been supposedly trying to cover up the fact that he's a spy in training, that Mike shouldn't know as much as he does know, but that Ben has let Mike learn too much about what school he goes to and what he's really doing. So Cyrus obviously has a plan for what he's going to do about Mike because he's labeled Mike as a threat. But now he's going to break into the Shang's suite. He's going to try to get that metal case, see what's in it. But the rest of the team's not happy. Alexander is not happy with his father because his father constantly is belittling him and his abilities. Erica doesn't feel good because Erica doesn't know what her grandfather's going to do. And the rest of the team feels like that they're just being treated like lackeys that are basically doing busy work for Cyrus. And Cyrus is now off, going to break into the suite and take all the glory. And poor Ben is now worried about what's going to happen to Mike, and he doesn't feel very good after getting the dressing down from Cyrus. So we're going to pick up with chapter 16, Discovery. Breaking into the bedroom of a Target in a heavily guarded hotel wasn't easy. It took Cyrus 4 hours of surveillance and plotting, followed by 90 minutes of grueling physical exertion at sub-zero temperatures, pinpoint timing, and nerve-wracking stealth. Ultimately, he managed to infiltrate Liu Shang's room. As Shang slept and accessed the mysterious silver case, only to discover it was full of dirty underwear. He wasn't pleased about this. I was relieved of mission duties the next day. I probably wouldn't have had anything to do as it was, since Jessica, my target, had been grounded at her hotel and banned from ever seeing me again. But Cyrus made it feel like I was being punished. I was sent off to ski school as usual, but he made it clear this was to get me out of the way. As long as the CIA sank all the money into this snit pot, we might as well have you learn something, he said, then booted me out of the motel room. Zoe, Warren, and Erica were sent with me, as they all needed to work on their skiing more than I did. Meanwhile, Hank, Chip, and Jawa were kept back, assigned to surveillance of the Shangs. Erica protested, of course, insisting that she would be far more of use on the investigation than she would be on the slopes. But Cyrus wouldn't be persuaded. It's December 30th, Erica argued. D-Day of the Golden Fist, Operation Golden Fist. You need every person you have on this, and you're sending me out to take some stupid ski lesson. You need another ski lesson, Cyrus told her. You ski like a wounded cow. So why not let me do something I'm good at, like everything besides skiing? I'm the best agent you have on this mission. I'm the best agent I have on this mission, Cyrus corrected, and I'm in charge of it, not you. You're learning how to ski today, and that's final. Erica backed down, though she made no secret that she was unhappy about it. She joined the ski lesson with Zoe, Warren, and me, but she remained sullen and peevish the entire time, making her perhaps the first person ever to view going to skiing as a punishment rather than a reward. Meanwhile, Woodchuck was as upbeat as ever. If he knew things weren't going well, he didn't let on. Instead, he was determined to have us enjoy our day. Woodchuck felt we were now good enough to head to one of his favorite places at Vale, an area called the Blue Sky Basin. It was the most distant section of the resort, butting up against the wilderness of the White River National Forest. So far from town that you had to take multiple lifts and ski runs to get out there. Because of the trek, though, Blue Sky tended to be much less crowded than the other areas of the resort. Under the most other circumstances, we probably would have considered it a fantastic ski day. The snow had finally stopped falling, but 2 feet of fresh powder now lay on the ground, creating what Woodchuck referred to as radical conditions. The sun was out, we were surrounded by gorgeous mountain views, and the snow sparkled like fields of diamonds. All around us, we could hear whoops of joy as skiers encountered virgin swaths of powder. I was feeling particularly joyful, though. I was still upset. I wasn't feeling particularly joyful, though. I was still upset about how everything had fallen apart on our mission. And to make matters worse, Warren kept needling me about it. My failure was like a Christmas present to him. You sent Cyrus Hale to an undercover suitcase uncover a suitcase full of dirty underwear, he exclaimed, laughing hysterically. We were riding up the main lift at Blue Sky, which took about 8 minutes. Zoe and Erica were on the chair in front of us, so I was stuck with Warren and Woodchuck riding 30 feet above the ground. It wasn't a suitcase, I muttered. Sounds like a suitcase to me. I mean, it had clothes in it, dirty clothes, not a nuclear bomb like you thought. I never said it had a nuclear bomb in it. I said it looked like the kind of cases that a nuclear bomb might be in. Well, you were wrong, Warren laughed again. Even Warren's laugh was annoying. It was very high pitched and making him sound like a hyena on helium. Just because Cyrus didn't find anything in that case last night doesn't mean that it wasn't something important in it earlier, I pointed out. Think about it. Dame Branridge knew I'd seen into the room. Leo Shang was freaked out that I was in the hotel at all. So they easily could have moved whatever was in that case. They have an entire hotel to hide it in. Then why'd they put dirty laundry in the case? To throw us off. If the whole case vanished, we'd be suspicious. But dirty clothes made it look like it was just another suitcase. Yeah, but why would they go through all that trouble? As far as they know, you're only a kid. They don't have any idea you're CIA. I swallowed, not liking the only good answer to the question. Well, maybe they do know I'm CIA. Warren snickered again. If that's true, then you've screwed up even worse than I thought. The sound of an explosion suddenly echoed through the air. It was muffled, meaning that it wasn't too close, but it was still near enough to startle all of us. Most kids our age probably wouldn't recognize the sound of heavy artillery exploding, but we were quite familiar with it from school. On the lift chair ahead of us, I saw Erica stiffen alertly, ready for action. Relax, Woodchuck called to her. It's just the ski patrol. The ski patrol uses a howitzer? Erica yelled back as suspiciously. Yes, to trigger avalanches, Woodchuck explained. There's been a ton of snow over the past few days, and that creates the perfect avalanche conditions. So the ski patrol goes out and triggers them before unsuspecting skiers do it. See? He pointed out to our right, where a large basin known as Earl's Bowl was roped off to keep people out. In the distance along the steep ridge, we could see a white cloud rising from where the howitzer shell had hit. As we watched, a large patch of snow had sheared off the top of the cliff and poured down into the woods at the bottom. If it weren't for the ski patrol, that might have taken out some innocent people, Woodchuck said solemnly. The discovery that I was heading into an area with a potential for death by avalanche didn't much lift my spirits, or, unfortunately, to dampen Warren's. So if Shang is onto you, he teased, you think he might try to kill you? I'm kind of hoping that's not the case, I replied, but if he was planning anything, we'd know about it, right? We listened to the room all night and didn't hear a thing. Well, Woodchuck pointed out, if Leo Shang was really onto you, then wouldn't he suspect you bugged the room? Oh, I said, suddenly feeling queasy. I guess. Warren snickered again. To you, my students. That's not how you solve your problems, but I would understand why you would want to, though. Hard to ignore somebody like this. I found myself imagining that laugh turning into a scream as Warren suddenly fell off of the chair and plummeted to the ground far below us. Then I shoved that thought aside and tried to think of what to do. If Liu Shang really wanted me dead, would his men already be tailing me? If so, I couldn't have been heading to a worse place than a remote mountain peak on the edge of the wilderness. Up on a chairlift, I was helpless. I swung around to look at the chairs behind us. I could see only the next 6, but there didn't seem to be any of Shang's goons back there. There weren't many people there at all, and they were all normal-sized humans, as opposed to Shang's beefed-up mountains of muscle. We had reached blue sky before most of the other skiers. Despite this, I remained extremely worried for my safety. Maybe I was being paranoid, but then again, Shang's helicopter pilot was already mysteriously disappeared. I didn't want to be next. I needed to discuss my potential danger with Erica right away. However, it wasn't really the kind of conversation I was supposed to shout out at the top of my lungs from one chairlift to the other. Then it occurred to me that I might not have to. I was wearing the exact same ski outfit that I had worn the day before. After all, I only had one. The radio transmitter Erica had given me to infiltrate the Shang suite was still in the pocket. I stuck it in my ear, wondering if Erica had her radio on. She did. Her radio didn't seem to be in her ear, as I could only hear faintly. I figured it was still in her pocket as well, probably in her parka, as it was picking up everything she and Zoe had said. I was about to try to get their attention, but when I heard Zoe ask, "So, what do you think about Mike?" Rather than interrupt, I kept listening. I wanted to know what Erica thought I should do about Shang, but I really wanted to know the answer to Zoe's question, too. "I don't think he's as big of a threat as my grandfather does," Erica replied. "I don't mean do you think he's a threat," Zoe corrected. "I mean, what do you think of him as a boy?" "What are you doing?" Erica asked, sounding extremely confused. Trying to have a trying to have a girl talk," Zoe replied. "What's girl talk?" Pretty much exactly what it sounds like. We're girls and we talk about interesting stuff. Like possible threats to national security? No, like boys. Why would I want to do that? Because it's fun. It doesn't sound fun, Erica countered. It sounds like an interrogation. I guess it is, Zoe admitted, but I promise, it's way better than that. And it goes both ways. We get to ask each other questions about boys. If you want, you can go first. Is this a covert conversation? Absolutely, we're both sworn to secrecy. There was a pause as Erica mulled this over, and then she said, "Do you like Warren?" "Warren?" Zoe shrieked loud enough so we could hear her back on our lift. Then she lowered her voice, only Erica and I could hear it, and said, "Ew, gross, no way." "Did you hear that?" Warren asked me, excited. "Zoe's talking about me. I think she's into me." I almost felt bad about letting Warren cling to this. But then he said, "See, girls like me because I don't screw up my mission." I ignored him and went back to eavesdropping. "Okay, your turn," Zoe said. "Do you like Mike?" "Kind of," Erica said. To my surprise, this made me feel almost as bad as learning that my life might be in danger. Zoe wasn't sufficed by this, though. "You can't say kind of. You have to say yes or no." "Why not?" "Because kind of is evasive. If you were interrogating a bad guy and planning a terrorist attack, would you let him off by saying kind of? That's different. There's no room like a boy. You kind of like asparagus. With boys, you either like them or you don't." "Not necessarily. I could like them as a friend. First of all, you don't have any friends. Second, we're not talking about liking someone as a of effective espionage. Not necessarily. They certainly did this week. Ben got all turned around with this Jessica business when Mike came along. He was definitely upset when I started paying attention to Mike." "Well, Ben really likes you." "I am well aware of that, and so when the time came to win Jessica back over, he overdid it. He rebounded toward her much too hard, leading her on romantically instead of trying to be friends with her. I read the transcripts of everything you and Ben said yesterday." So I said, "It didn't sound like he was leading Jessica on to me." "Transcripts don't convey emotion. I heard Ben, and I can assure you he was leading Jessica on. I mean, he got her to hug him. That's not appropriate friend behavior." "Actually, it kind of is." "I don't think so. She did it in front of a roaring fire, no less. Ben made no attempt to stop her or to set any kind of boundaries at all. Trust me, Ben wasn't merely trying to befriend Jessica. He was trying to romance her, and it all blew up in his face." I almost took the earpiece from my ear, feeling even worse than I did before. I hadn't thought I was doing any of what Erica had said, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe I had overplayed my hand, leading Jessica on, getting her to hug me, and then ruining everything. But to my surprise, Zoe started laughing hard. "Oh my gosh," she gasped. "Erica, you're hilarious." "What's so funny?" Erica demanded. "You know so much about everything in the entire world," she explained, "except yourself." "What are you talking about?" "You're jealous of Jessica Shang because she hugged Ben." "That's the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life," Erica snapped. Only while this was exactly the sort of thing I'd heard Erica say plenty of times, it just sounded strangely at ease, as though Zoe had struck a nerve. Zoe seems to sense this too. I don't think it's so dumb, she said. And just so you know, you don't have anything to worry about. Ben has no interest in Jessica Shang. He has a crush on her, Erica said flatly. He only, Erica said. Oh, come on, Zoe protested. You need to deal with your feelings, not avoid them. I'm not avoiding my feelings, Erica replied. We need to stop talking. Listen. Zoe stopped talking and listened. I ceased eavesdropping and focused on my surroundings, too. We were almost at the top of the mountain. The end of the lift was only a few chairs ahead of us. Beyond it, I could see a flat, wide-open plain of snow, which ended abruptly in what must have been a sharp drop. The lift machinery was quite loud, whirring and clanking as each new chair arrived. I could barely hear anything over it. But there was something, a thrumming noise, distant but getting louder. All I hear is a helicopter, Zoe said. It's coming toward us, Erica explained. Zoe didn't question this, and neither did I. Erica might not have understood her own emotions, or anyone else's for that matter, but if anyone knew how to tell the direction of a helicopter was traveling merely from the sound, it was her. Despite the clear day, it was hard to pick out the helicopter, but I eventually found it, a black blur on the western horizon, quickly growing bigger as it approached. Is something wrong? Woodchuck asked, sensing my unease. Erica thinks so, I told him, pointing. There's a helicopter coming this way, fast. So, Warren asked, it's probably just a search and rescue. Those are red. Woodchuck's face was creased with concern. That one's not. It looks like it's for heliskiing, but those are supposed to stay well clear of the resort. My phone suddenly started ringing, and so did Warren's and Woodchuck's and Erica's and Zoe's. At exactly the same moment, they rang with a very specific ringtone that we used to specify an emergency. Before any of us could answer, though, the helicopter started shooting. All right, guys, I am going to leave you on that cliffhanger today. So we will pick up with the story tomorrow. Forgoing any other emergencies, and my hope is I won't have another one tomorrow where I won't have to either take care of things around here or help out my immediate family that are in the area. I should be able to do a live stream earlier in the day. Seems like that 11, 12 o'clock time seems to work out best for everybody. So I will shoot to start streaming between 11 and 12 tomorrow. Forgoing any schedule changes, I will let you guys know more definitively tomorrow morning when I plan on streaming, but that's what I'm going to shoot for. If you guys have any other questions or concerns, of course, you can message me on our dojo page, or you can email me at my email address. Like I said, we're still putting together the distance learning plan. You guys we will be making that announcement hopefully sometime next week. And we'll be able to better detail what we're going to be doing. But I will say these read alouds that I've been doing, they're going to be definitely a big part of our distance learning. So you can count on that continuing going forward. I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough books until our last day of school. So hopefully we don't fly through these too fast. I do have a couple books that are here on my own personal bookshelf that I might be able to pull out. Maybe I could get some of your guys' opinions if that'd be something you'd want to read. And I do have a book that's about the legend of Robin Hood. That's a pretty good book. I think it's written by the same guy that wrote Treasure Island, I believe, I want to say. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the movie called Aragon that came out several years ago, but that was based on a book series with the main character of Aragon, where he lives kind of in a fantasy world, but he discovers a dragon egg. And when it hatches, it's a blue dragon that he names Saphira. and then he raises and he becomes a dragon rider. And there's a series of books about that. I have the first book, Aragon, as well as the next two. So the first 3 books in that 4-book series. Of course, I got the Hunger Games. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there if we book through the other 3 books that I brought from the classroom. But those are some books that I have that maybe I'll work those in, depending on what I feel like and what your guys' interests are in those books. But I'm going to sign off now. Of course, again, I will keep you guys updated through Dojo. I'll message you guys when it gets closer to the time that I feel like I can stream to kind of give you guys a heads up so you guys can get yourselves ready. Like I said, any other questions, comments, and concerns, send them there. I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys are having a good day and that you have a good evening and that you guys are staying safe and staying healthy, just like Mr. G. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.